Hello everybody, I'm Revac and thank you for tuning in to watch this review on the new game Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. For anybody who knows me, they will most probably know that I am a huge Dragon Ball fan, or if you don't know me that well, then I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. And I'm really excited to be able to, review this game, play this game. It's a game that I've been looking forward to for a couple of months now. And I'm just going to give you some of my views on its gameplay, how it looks, how true to it the actual story and the actual anime is it, and then we'll go on from there, and I'll give you a little bit of my, do I like it, don't I like it, etc. Yeah, so first off, thank you to anybody who watches any of the podcasts. If anybody has seen any of my Star Citizen videos, it's much appreciated that you are watching them and supporting the channel, even if it's your first time here. So thank you so much for coming. But let's get on to the game. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to talk about how the game looks. In my opinion, I think it looks beautiful. It's quite a nice world. It's got quite a nice little look and feel to it, and it feels very Dragon Ball, in my personal opinion. Now, I know that there's a lot of stuff going out across the internet at the moment, bad reviews coming out for it, a lot of people saying, oh, this wasn't the game that I was expecting. To be honest, I don't think anybody's expectations should have been too high. It was marketed as an RPG, and that is what it is, but it's not onto the scale of these massive RPGs. Stuff like The Elder Scrolls or Fallout or The Witcher. It's still a role-playing game. You're playing the role of the Z Fighters, the different characters across the anime. Whereas I think a lot of people in the community had their mindset that this was going to be revolutionary, and it was going to be a massive huge game, and you could more or less go and do what you want, which I think that was quite an unrealistic expectation for a lot of people. But by the by, so in terms of myself, I'm enjoying the game. For anybody watching this that is not a Dragon Ball fan, I think you will find it quite difficult to enjoy the game. I'm saying that because whilst my largest enjoyment of this game so far is actually reliving the story so far, seeing these characters from the classic Dragon Ball series, like Android 8 or Eta, if you want to go down that route, or Nam, who was part of one of the world tournaments as well, who was one of the characters from Dragon Ball. It's all these pieces going back to the original Dragon Ball series. It's not kind of wiped all of that out from the past, which a lot of the current Dragon Ball games or the previous Dragon Ball games have done. It's gone straight from Z because Z was the most popular. So from my personal opinion, if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, then I think you may find it a little difficult to get into this game and get immersed into the game. For me, it's not a problem. For those that are Dragon Ball fans, I don't believe it will be a problem for them either, because it's nostalgic. It's nice to see what's going on and relive these moments. I know that we've relived them in the anime. I know we've relived parts of them in the game, but being able to wander around it's not exactly small, quite a large area, and play as some of your favourite characters from the series. It's just a breath of fresh air. I mean, in terms of its gameplay, so it kind of manoeuvres and acts a lot like the Xenoverse series, 1 and 2 at that. Its combat style is very Xenoverse-esque, which is not a bad thing. In my opinion, the Xenoverse games, the kind of 3D style fighting, was some of the best fighting game that I've enjoyed. The most recent Dragon Ball Fighters, or Fighter Z, however you'd like to pronounce it, I know that was a massive game for a lot of people, and I did enjoy it, but my biggest problem is I'm not good at those games. I'm really not good at those games. So comparing this to that it's just not. They're completely different genres, in my opinion. You've got this kind of, you know, basic level role-playing game here, and yeah, it's difficult to compare them to Fighter Z. Xenoverse is probably its best comparison, as it takes the good elements of Xenoverse and I think it expands on them quite a lot. Of course, in Xenoverse, especially Xenoverse 2, you get this area to kind of fly around with your character and go and do things. Within this game itself, what you get is you get to control one of the main characters, but not in previous games where it's already after the fact. This is during that narrative, during the story going forward. It's, you know, I'm playing as the likes of Goku during the Saiyan arc right now, but you also play as different characters from that story. So without giving away any spoilers or anything like that, it's not just Goku. I think they've balanced it out quite well to match the story, which, if you are planning on picking up this game, then I completely understand that. You know, you may be expecting to only play as Goku. That is not the case. You get to play as different characters during those different eras. My biggest problem with the storytelling is during the entire narrative, these, if you've ever watched the anime, there's these big periods where, like, people are training or something in the narrative isn't all about fighting, and they seem to skip across that with more or less cue cards, which personally I'm not a big fan of. So the perfect example is during all of Gohan's training. Now, no, Gohan's training wasn't exactly the longest segment within the anime or the manga or anything like that, but it just gives out cue cards to say Piccolo trains Gohan for a couple of months, or Piccolo leaves Gohan by himself for a couple of months. There's no narrative from that. I was hoping that there would be more in-depth narrative during that period, because the anime didn't go into it all that much. So I wanted to be Gohan, and I wanted to train, you know, and learn to survive by myself, and you get little segments of that, but it just left something else to be desired, if I'm being completely honest. But I'm still at the start of the game. I'm still in the Saiyan arc. You know, Goku has just got to King Kai's planet, so I'm still not all that far in the game. I'm really excited for the Namek arc and definitely the Cell games. I think in terms of the anime itself, Cell games was my favourite arc, and Cell was my favourite character. The Namekian arc is very, very close. I love Frieza as a villain. I'm glad that they've returned Frieza back to the series, but I think Cell always just kind of edged it a little bit for me. I'm not too sure why. But anyway, let's focus more on the game itself. In terms of the video game, it plays well. It plays quite nicely. Like I said, I do like the fighting elements to it. I'm really enjoying the leveling system. So that also goes along with the narrative, of course. When they were in the Saiyan arc, when you first meet Raditz, you know, Piccolo had just learnt Special Beam Cannon. There's a whole tech tree that, you know, you can upgrade your abilities once you hit certain points within the story, whether or not that's defeating a certain character, reaching a certain level, doing anything like kind of that. You know, you need to get experience to level up to get better abilities, and the abilities, as they did in the anime, they get stronger, they get better, and you have to level them up accordingly. Now, of course, you can just keep doing the main quest lines, but there are a bunch of side quests as well, which I think altogether bring the experience together really nicely. I think, you know, for me as a Dragon Ball fan, this game is a dream come true, regardless of how people are reviewing it at the moment. It is just great fun. I've really enjoyed reliving that story, and, you know, playing as my favourite characters from those arcs, and, you know, I'm really excited to get to that next stage, get to that next point. But if I'm not progressing the story, I'm enjoying just flying around the world. I mean, there's no better feeling than just having a character and just wandering around for a bit, seeing what else there is, stumbling upon a village and talking to people in there, or getting to know some of the other characters that weren't always in the anime or weren't in every episode. You know, your filler characters, or your extra characters that really didn't do too much to progress the story. But it's nice to see, you know, how they react with certain characters that they may not have met correctly, and go from there. It's really enjoyable to have that full experience and, you know, enjoy that experience as well. What I think a lot of people are falling foul to is that they're looking at it from a purely gaming experience. From a gaming experience, it's not the best game in the world. You know, it's exciting at points, it's good fun, but as I said earlier on, you need to be a Dragon Ball fan to really appreciate this, in my opinion. It's not a game that anybody can just kind of jump into if they don't know the lore and the story. I think some people might find it difficult because it can be quite arcadey. If you're looking for something that you just want to relax, you know, smash a couple of buttons, enjoy yourself, then yeah, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is a great game for that. I just really think that the Dragon Ball fan base will, you know, enjoy the game a lot more than what others may. A little bit about the features within the game. So, I've played the game now for about 4 hours. What I've learned are, you can fight with certain characters can help you out. Most of the characters that you meet, they all serve a purpose. So there's something within the game called the community page. Within the community page, there's different kind of trees that you can assign people to. So you've got like the Z fighters, and you'll gain bonuses for each tree. You've also got like a cooking tree, you've got like a god tree, you've got an adult tree, and every single tree that you put people into, and these kind of like these big tokens of the characters into, then it'll give you benefits within the game, whether that's more experience or your cooking ability becomes improved, so you're more likely to succeed in cooking something. Also, cooking in the game is quite a large aspect of it, and I'll get to that very shortly. But I think I'm enjoying the fact that you meet these characters and then they don't just disappear and that's it, you never see them again. The whole community page really keeps you alive and keeps you thinking of how you want to link certain people up, because certain people link with each other. For example, Goku and Krillin, they are linked because they're best friends. Or Goku and Gohan, that's an obvious link. It's a father and son. They get boosts if they're within the tree next to each other, and that can boost the entire Z team and give you some better, experience, or a good perk that you may need later on into the game. Now, I did mention briefly about cooking. Cooking features in this game. There's many different ways that you can gather different foods and then cook, and then when you cook them, there's the chance that it will permanently increase certain stats. So whether or not that's permanently increase your ki, permanently increase your health, your attack damage, your defense, your ki defense. Overall, it gives another element to the game. A little bit like Breath of the Wild, except for they're not temporary. You find ingredients, you cook those ingredients have perks, and then you can just go from there. And it's really interesting to see that kind of dynamic come into a game like this, because of course, anybody who watches the anime knows Goku, the Z Fighters, they can eat. Oh my god, they can eat. And that is quite a big part of the franchise, in my opinion. The amount of food that they do eat, and the over-the-top scale of the food. From the classic Dragon Ball with the massive, like 6, 7, 8 feet long fish that for when you first see Goku, it's it is interesting to see all of that, and they've really brought it in and brought that back to, like I said again, the Dragon Ball franchise, especially early Dragon Ball. So I think I'm gonna give off a quick little pros and cons list to try and see, try and help you guys make up your mind and if you want to get this game or not. So from a pros list perspective, I think the game is very easy to pick up and play. It's not a game that you have to know, so many different button combinations, so many combos and go from there. Whilst that may detract some people, for me this is a relaxing game. It's a nice, chilled out, relaxed game where you can just, watch the cutscenes unfold and get involved in these fights and and everything like that. I think the fact that it's just a very quick pick up and play is fantastic, and that's why it's, in my eyes, it's one of the biggest pros of the game so far. Personally, its level of storytelling off of the main scenes and off of that piece it's really enjoyable to watch. The first couple of scenes, you're walking around with Gohan, you're picking him up, Goku and Gohan, you're controlling Goku, and it's really humbling to see them react at that point, because there are little bits of detail that it goes into, and it's been written in such a way that it's not just going to completely follow the anime to every point during these specific scenes. There's a lot of pieces in the game that are canonical, and everything in the game is canonical, meaning that it's within that story of Dragon Ball, and everything that is in the game is true to life for that franchise and that story overall. And it's really humbling to see the characters react in the way that they are. I really appreciate that, and I think that a lot of the Dragon Ball franchise will appreciate that as well. But that does lead me onto a con which I have already mentioned before. In terms of its gameplay, it's not perfect. I think, like I said it as a pro, it's a pick up and play, but sometimes it can feel a bit too simplistic, and it is very repetitive as a game. Really, if you're getting the game and you want to play it for the fighting and the actual full gameplay, you're gonna feel at points quite bored, because it can be quite repetitive in my opinion. It's the story that really grasps onto you as the video gamer.
The name's Piccolo. Don't forget it.
It's the story that really grasps you on as the gamer. I think from its fighting mechanics, it's been done before. There's not much difference in terms of Xenoverse, the old Budokai games. It's very, very similar. It's nothing new in terms of its fighting, but it's storytelling, and then I'm going to use the term open world loosely, but its open world mechanic and going and seeing things is a really nice addition to the series and to the franchise. I don't think there's a game quite like it out there at the moment to do with Dragon Ball that looks this nice, that plays this well, but if you're getting it for the gameplay, you may struggle to keep yourself entertained. For me, this is all about the narrative. The narrative makes this game, and like I said, if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, it may be difficult for you to continue playing the game itself. But that's it from me, everybody. Thank you so much for watching the video, listening to my views and my opinions on the game. For me, I'm going to give it a good 6 out of 10. Just purely because, I am a Dragon Ball fan. But if I wasn't a Dragon Ball fan, I would most probably be putting this game a little bit lower. That's not retracting from the game at all. It is definitely worth the purchase. If you're watching this video, it most probably means that you're on the fence. I would say, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, absolutely. This is a game you will want. It's fantastic reliving those moments again, but through your own interactions, your own, you're fighting these characters and you're progressing the story. It is a lot of fun. The voice acting in it is perfect. The voice acting is very, very well done. So, in my opinion, yes, as a Dragon Ball fan, absolutely get this game. It's fantastic. If you think Dragon Ball's okay, again, get it involved into the game. It may be a good starting point for you to understand the lore and the actual story. But if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, I would say maybe miss this one, or perhaps get it whilst it's on, you know, a lower price. But thank you again so much for watching the video, and I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you.
It's said there are 7 mystical orbs capable of granting any wish when brought together. With them, anything the heart desires can be attained, whether unfathomable riches or absolute power. These mysterious wish-granting orbs are known as the Dragon Balls. And it's around these Dragon Balls that this extraordinary story unfolds, with new challenges and adventures awaiting Goku and his friends at every turn.
Here goes! Flying Nimbus! All right, hang on tight.
Whoa! It's a dinosaur!